This is Hina here from Angels in Heels, and today we have got my lovely friend Nureen Chowdhury. She is an ambassador to Angels in Heels, and she represents Bangladesh. So, welcome Nureen, how are you?
Good, thank you, Hina. How are you?
Thanks
for having me.
Oh, that's all good. Thank you so much for doing this with us on a Sunday morning at 9 o'clock. I'm sure there were better things you wanted to do, but it shows your passion towards women's empowerment that you are here. So thank you. Definitely. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, Nureen, so tell me, where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Bangladesh. I came here when I was about 6.5 years old.
Okay, yeah. So you've pretty much lived your entire life in Australia.
Yeah, you can say that, yes.
Yeah. Do you have many memories from back home?
Not really. I just know that we lived in Richmond. My parents went straight to work the second day as soon as I landed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we changed schools quite often because we moved in 4 different areas, depending on where my parents got their work. So,
all right, okay.
Every area had its own specialty in terms of, cultural influences.
Yes.
So it was very different depending on which area you lived. So, yeah.
And how did you find adjusting to different places that you were moving around so much?
I think when you're a kid, you don't really think about anything a lot. So I think it was easy as a kid. I think it was harder when I was in high school, going from one Catholic school to another Catholic school, then to a grammar school that was like 1 and 2 hour travel time. So, that was the hardest part. It was more in high school that
adjusting. Yeah. So you already have your teenage dramas going on, and then you have to make more adjustments. So that can't be easy. Yeah. All right. So you're in Melbourne at the moment, right?
Yes.
Yeah. How's it going with all the lockdowns and everything?
Well, thank God the lockdown was over after about 9 months. It was quite hard actually, especially for me, because I'm usually very motivated, but I felt like I was very demotivated, and I just kept on doing short courses after courses.
Okay.
And the motivation to, health and fitness wasn't there for a very long time, because I was like, oh no,
not going anywhere.
It just kept dragging you down. But I found out later that I wasn't the only one. So but I'm glad that we're open now. We've been open since November. I think we had a brief 5 days.
That's right. Yeah.
It was closed. It was a hard lockdown. So I think we did well considering.
But if you had done such a long time back last year, 5 days doesn't seem that bad.
No, 5 days is nothing compared to the 9 days.
To what you guys went through.
But I did learn a lesson from it, that regardless of what happens, you've just got to push yourself. I think that's the best lesson I learned in the 9 months. That although I was doing short courses after short courses, I wasn't really taking care of my mental health as much, and my physical well-being as well. So it really tested how strong I am mentally and in passing through that. So I realized that towards the end I was a bit stronger, and I was more accepting of it, but for the most part of it was very difficult.
I can imagine. I mean, what steps did you take for motivating yourself?
I just even if I didn't feel like exercising or dancing or something, I would just do it at the end. I would say more closer to the September, October, I was like, no, I've got to really do something. it's really breaking me down. And I started also doing other like short courses in childhood, adolescent psychology, in psychology. I did my Lean Six Sigma course.
Lovely.
I did some other courses. So it was life coaching courses. So
oh wow, you did a lot.
Yeah, I just kept really busy doing so many things, just so I don't have to think about
your mind off it. Yeah.
And I was baking more as well, and I was like, okay, you know, my daughters and I will bake together. It's just that
lovely.
We're working as a team, and you know, the whole family's in it. So yeah.
I find that as well. If something major is going on, like if I were in a lockdown, like I would keep myself so busy that nothing else will distract me, you know, or bring me down. And even generally, I keep myself quite busy anyway. So I get what you're saying. You took up quite a few courses, and it takes your mind away from the lockdown. Alrighty. So you mentioned about your daughter. So that's your only daughter? One daughter you've got?
I've got two daughters. I've got one that's in uni. She's at La Trobe Uni. She's doing.
Did you say uni? Nureen?
Medical sciences. Yeah.
She's in uni. Oh my god! And look at you. I would have never guessed you've got a daughter in uni. Oh wow! So you've got two daughters. So one's in uni, and the second one.
Yeah, the other one, she's in year 8. I keep on saying year 7. I just realised that because of that long lockdown, she's in year 8 now. But they're very, very different to each other.
Wow, so it's quite a female-dominated house.
Yes. I love it. I love it.
It must be challenging at times dealing with girls, though.
I think more so for my husband it's a bit challenging because I remember a few years ago he's like, it would be nice at times if I could play some cricket with you know, someone.
Yeah, I've got the other extreme, like I've got two boys and husbands, you know, like it's quite a male dominated house, so I like to hang around with my ambassadors in my group. Have some feminine,
you need that sometimes.
Feminine energy. All right. So, how would you describe your childhood to be like, Nureen?
My childhood was good for, I would say, you know, I think the only thing I missed is having a proper childhood because both my parents, you know, growing up, they were working really, really hard. And my dad was a manager, mum was, you know, an accounts payable officer, but she started off, you know, in a really junior position. And because they were highly ambitious, they were working 2 jobs. They wanted to give the best education to us. So they put us to, you know, private schools and things like that. So although they pampered us a lot with, you know, stuff, you know, and the best education and everything. But I think that, you know, you really do miss them at times. You're like,
they're not there.
Yeah, they're not there. So I think I kind of miss that part of things.
Yeah.
Mum tried to make up for it like on the weekends.
Yeah.
But I think she realised once we were in about year 8, year 9 that, hold on, I'm not spending much time with them. Because Mum was OCD, you could say. She was very, like, she had to be overly clean about everything. So even when she came from work, cleaning, like, kneeling to the floor and, you know,
on your hands and knees, getting
cloth to wipe down everything. So she was a bit OCD. And so weekends were all about just cleaning. So Mum didn't realise until we were in year 8 and 9, hold on, we've got to do more holidays. We've got to do more things together as a family. So we did do a lot of things, like we went to Movie World, SeaWorld and Dreamworld. Right. You know, we did a lot of road trips as well. We did the whole of Australia. So
lovely.
That was good. That was more when I was in, you know, grade 3 or 4 though. But yeah, the road trip was an interesting experience. But yeah, I think they tried to do the best that I can, but I felt like I was the mother in the household because I was raising...
You must have been the eldest in the house.
Yeah, I was in the middle, but my older brother was not as responsible.
So, usually aunt, right?
Yeah, it is. So I was raising my younger brother. So I put him to bed. I made I fed him, he was 2.5 years old, so 2.5, 3 years old. So I would just, change his clothes, put him to bed, make sure everything was switched off, the stove was switched off. And this is like, wow. I'm like 6.5 years old, and I did that till, and I did that since until I was like, how old? I don't know, year 8 and year 9. So I felt like I was the mother.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah.
You probably felt you didn't get that quality time with your parents, even though they were giving you material things and gave you private education and everything. You still felt that their presence, the good quality time that they would have spent would have been more appreciated by yourself?
Yeah, I think time is, quite valuable, and once you lose it, you can't get it back. Materialistic things you can get any time.
Yeah.
Like, I saw a pair of jeans, I was like, okay, I usually I'm quite a shopaholic, right? But I was like, okay, hold on, I've already spent a lot. Should I buy that $200 jeans, or should I just buy that undergarment that I was looking at? I ended up buying the undergarment, which is only slightly cheaper, but I was thinking that jeans is always there. It's not going to go anywhere.
No.
So there are some things like, I really truly value family time, which is why my mum had one good thing. Like, there was many good values my mum had. She was very hardworking. She was a great mother and husband, because although she was busy, she tried to compensate for it on most weekends. Some weekends she couldn't, but she I would say as a mother, she tried her best. It's not hard. It's not easy, doing multiple things at once. And since she was home probably only 2 hours at night when we were already asleep.
Wow, that's a long day.
So it's a long day, but I think she did a great job. She, I feel that I don't know, like we didn't get as many hugs and things as we would have liked. We couldn't share I got bullied during my high school years, but my parents never experienced bullying, so they don't know what I was going through. But when my children went through it, I understood, because I went through it. So like my mum would be like, oh, why are you always upset? At your age, you should always be smiling and all this stuff. What's bothering you?
And I was so hard. They're so hard. Yeah.
And it's hard to explain to them that why you're upset.
Yeah.
Because they just won't get it. You know what I mean?
I think something like bullying.
From her, I would say, is she likes to have lunch and dinner on the table on weekends.
Yeah. That's her way of
and breakfast as well. And because we don't get to do it during the weekday, so she's like, no, everyone's going to eat together. Yeah. It's the weekend, we're going to do breakfast, lunch and dinner together. So we always make sure of that.
Yeah. That's her way of spending quality time with you, with the family. Yeah, and it sounds like she's the sort of person who would put a lot of attention into cooking nice meals for
Yes.
Because that's like hugging and loving and spending quality time. Doesn't sound like her way of giving love to her family is providing the material things to you, or providing you with private education, and to provide you with those nice meals in the weekends. That's her way of showing her love, expressing her love for her children, family, So everyone has different ways of showing their love. The expectation from the other side might be completely different. For you, it would have been nicer to have that quality time with your parents, having her there for more, like longer, like during the day, perhaps. Getting those hugs.
I think more so during the early childhood years, like when you're between 0 to 8 years old, you really want that nurturing sort of, environment. I think as you get older, you sort of, you want it, but you sort of understand that it's not the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a 12-year-old.
The expectation is not as much.
And I was just saying, I've got a 12-year-old son. My younger son is 12, and he still likes. I mean, he'll say no to hugging, but he actually likes it. and he does want to spend quality time with me. So every time, like, he'll keep checking up on me. Mom, are you okay? It's like, yeah, I'm okay. And it's like, oh, is there something on your mind? And I'm thinking about, work and angels in heels, or the other, whatever. He can't stand the fact that, not that I'm upset, like, he can't stand the fact that I'm worried about anything or I'm thinking. Like, he wants me to be happy and cheery all the time. And he likes to spend quality time with me. So I understand what you are saying. Because I can understand your mom's side of thinking, the way she expresses her love. So, yeah, but I think as moms, as parents, we need to realize what the children actually want from us, as opposed to thinking, okay, this is what I think I should be giving to my kids. The focus should be, what does my child actually want from me, So, and I think majority of the time, spending good quality time with the kids is the best, because that's not going to come back. I mean, material things you can provide them 20 years later, and that's fine. But the love that you can give them in their childhood, pre 10 years old, that will always be with them, always. So and you know how they say that. Well, I did my Bachelor of Education for like 1.5 years, and then I didn't go ahead with it. I did my other degrees. But one of the key factors of childhood stimulation is the emotional well-being and environment as well. So you need that as a stimulus to help them develop emotionally as well. And you need that connection, and I think that was the only factor that was missing. I think they the other things were not too bad, but I think that that sort of growing up as an adult, then you develop those emotional things later, and you're like, hold on, I didn't have this, why didn't I have this? And you start to think, oh, hold on, you sort of accept it later in life when you have your own kids, because then you realize, okay, I can see their struggles. Understand them. Yeah, you understand your parents better.
Yeah.
You don't blame them.
Before having kids, you don't see it that way. You just think, well, they could have done this better.
Yeah.
That was your way of better.
And in any situation, it's easy to judge other people, but when you are put in the same boat, in the same shoes, that's when you realize that, hold on, it's not as easy and it's not as straightforward as it seems, True. So and we don't realize that until much later in life, unfortunately. All right, so what would be your favorite memories? And it doesn't have to be from childhood, it could be any time of your life. Which one would be your favorite, most memorable, loving memory?
I think having my children, actually, to be honest. I was a young mum, but I think it just went too fast. I wish I could have done things a little bit differently, because I think I improved as a parent later on in life. But having my children, and at 38 winning my first 38 starting my first pageant, getting although I didn't win my very first pageant, it was I won later pageants. But the main thing was the experience. Who would have thought that at 38 you would compete in something?
Same.
Who would have thought that you're going to put yourself out there? Because when you're at a certain age, you're like, hold on,
it's all over.
Am I really going to put myself out there? There's girls way younger than me that have the look at, there's this self-doubt, and you're not sure whether you should put yourself out there. You know what I mean?
You doubt yourself. I'm not good enough, or I'm not pretty enough, I'm not young enough. And that's the stereotyping. That's the misconception we need to get rid of. And that's what I'm trying to achieve from Angels in Heels. The things like, I'm not good enough to do this, or I'm not smart enough, I'm not young enough, I'm not pretty enough. What are we comparing ourselves with? You as you are good enough for everything. Everyone has their X factor, and that's what we polish up on. Everyone's different. You should embrace your unique personality, your unique character. So so I understand what you're saying. At 38, I did my first pageant at 37, and I was exactly I was like, I had never dreamt of doing it because like I come from a very conservative family, so it wouldn't, I mean, being on pageant was like a big no. But when the pageant is connected to a cause and you believe in the cause, you forget about everything. If you're passionate about it, and it was to do with creating awareness on domestic violence, and I feel very, very strongly about it. And that was my motivating factor. I was like, forget not good enough, forget the fact that I'm old or not as young, or I don't have the height, but I am so passionate about the topic, I'm going to do it and create enough fuss. So I get what you are saying, Nureen, and I've met you in person, and you're quite a passionate person. Quite outspoken, opinionated.
Yeah. I was thinking, hold on, I'm only 5'2". I'm not thin enough. I'm quite curvy.
Same.
You look up to, like, luckily the last 1-2 years you see Fashion Nova, models in, their clothing line, and you see Pretty Little Things, and they're having more curvier models, they're not just sticking to the size 0 models anymore.
That's
so
right,
it's an inspiration, and it's great to see even on Instagram nowadays. It's no longer about just, those size 0 models anymore. When I was 38, it was. And so you look up to those Instagram models and you're like, hold on, I'm nothing compared to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's, and you see all these glossy magazines of cover models, and you think, oh, well,
you're comparing yourself to them.
Oh my gosh, what am I getting myself into?
Yeah. We always doubt ourselves, but I think it's when we rise beyond our doubts, raise our self-esteem, that's when we make a difference. And when we do that, we inspire so many people to do it, to live their dreams as well. Because when they see you doing it, it's like, oh, if she can do it, maybe I can do it. It is actually doable, So people sort of not completely stop doubting themselves, but it does reduce that, So I think it does make a big difference. So what was your biggest challenge in life? It doesn't have to be pageant. It could be anything. Your biggest major challenge in your life?
I would say it's a combination of two things. One is having such a strict upbringing, because my parents were very, very strict, being the only girl. The cultural influence was there, a little bit of the religious influence, but it was a big mix of both, because both the culture and the religion was a bit, you shouldn't be going out so much. You can't be so outgoing. So when I did go out, like to the library even, my younger brother had to come with me, or my older brother had to come with me. And when I went to, I think I only went to one outing in my whole entire high school life, and that was one of a friend's birthday party, an Italian girlfriend's birthday party in McDonald's, because back then everyone had parties in McDonald's. So my parents were like, okay, we're dropping you off at this time, we're picking you up at that time. And they did. And they were around the vicinity. They were like, okay, we're going to be around the area. So we're just going to drop you, come back, do our shopping or whatever, and then come and pick you up. And I'm like, okay.
Wow.
So I felt there was lack of freedom, and there was lack of trust from their end, which is why I'm not doing the same thing to my daughters. With my daughters, I learned from what they've, I know they had their good intentions. They were like, okay, well, we hear of other girls doing the wrong things, and we don't want her to do drugs or, do all these bad things. Because back then there was a lot of hype on, there was a lot of girls doing drugs and things. So I guess their intentions were good. I guess they could have done it differently. That's all I thought.
I completely resonate with that, Nureen.
So with my daughters, I let them go out, but I have all of her girlfriends' phone numbers. I've known them since I were in year 7. And she'll have to tell me when she goes out and when she comes home. So I don't have an expectation. No, you can only go out for 2 hours or whatever, like my parents were. And I let her go out as often as she wants, as long as she has her phone fully switched on, not on vibrate. as long as her phone's fully charged, and as long as she tells me when, I've told her, look, if you're going to multiple places, that's fine. Just tell me all the places you're going to. Because, you hear of teenagers, they either get kidnapped or molested or something, and
it does happen.
It happens, and at least I would know where she was at the time. So that's why I want to know where, a list of places where she's going to go, and who she's going to be with. Like I've told her, can you at least who you're going to be with, so that I have that expectation. Okay, well, this is when I expect her home. She's with these girls. I know them. Some of them she's met in uni, so just quite recently. But she talks about her friends with me. I'm quite open with my children. And I guess that open relationship is what I missed with my mum.
Yeah, but I think back then the culture was quite different as well. So the relationship that we have with our kids is completely different. Like I know, like myself with my two boys, they do have a lot more freedom than I did. And just like yourself, I don't mind them going out, but I need to know where they're going and what time they're going to be back. So, I'm being quite reasonable, but I'm not judging my parents, because just like yourself, I had the same. It was so strict. I wasn't allowed to go anywhere without someone being with me. So, but that was their way of making sure that, nothing goes wrong with me. It wasn't that they didn't trust me or, I don't know, but it was more about being like a protective measure as opposed to anything else. Yeah.
I mean, I guess every child takes it differently. I've heard of some girls being in my situation who ran away, Mine was when I was like 19, I ran away with my husband thinking that was freedom, So I think there is a term, if you pull the rope too hard, So I think that, there should be a middle ground. I understand that parents should always have, some rules and things and discipline in place, because otherwise, we have road rules and things like that. Why not implement rules in the house as well?
Absolutely.
That's reasonable, as you mentioned earlier.
They need to be reasonable from both the sides, from the children's side and from the parents' side, because what we think, what the kids think, it's completely different. Reasonable is different from their side and from our side. So we need to understand.
Perception is very different from their. And so I think that, we learn from our parents, don't we? That, okay, well, they did this wrong. We're not going to do that.
Absolutely. It's like been there, done it. Yeah, you know what your kids are thinking. So, and you know what your parents were thinking at the time. Like you can relate to it. So, it just makes that little bit of a difference.
And the other aspect of my life that I felt that, that sort of, I think when you get married when you're very young, I took that step because, as I mentioned, I thought that was freedom. But when you get married young, you're not really mentally prepared. You think you are, but you're not. You just go through, like, you really have to know how to adjust to a new family. Adjust to a person you've only just because I've known him for a year, but it was just during uni breaks because my parents were so strict. So I had to say, well, I'll see you this time at that time, and blah, blah, blah. So it wasn't really knowing him. How well do you know someone when you see them for 2 hours, 3 days a week? You don't really know them. You actually honestly know someone when you're living with them for a few years or so.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
When I say no, I mean at least you know some of their characteristics.
Sure.
So, I guess that's what I struggled with a little bit, that, how do I adjust? How do I keep everyone happy? And I think more so when I was younger, I was a people pleaser. I was like, no, I've got to make everyone happy. I've got to make my husband happy. I've got to make my mum and dad happy. I've got to make my in-laws happy.
How was that?
Then you somehow lose yourself. And I lost myself for the first 10 years of my marriage, because you're giving so much into this, marriage, that you lose yourself. You lose your perspective of your goals, of your well-being, or what you want. And I think that's what I think.
You ask yourself, who are you now?
I
honestly transformed into what? It's transformed.
I feel like I didn't mature until later.
I think we all do. Yeah. Just trying
I
to
should have waited until I was maybe after 25 to get married, because when I had my eldest daughter, I was 22 and a half. I just didn't know. Like, she would cry so many times because she was a premature baby.
Oh.
And when she cried, I would think, oh, she must be hungry. So I would test everything, you know, and I did that for a good 6 months, because mum never talked to us about parenting or a lot of things like protection and all these other things. She never talked to us about that.
Generation.
Although we were very friendly, about life skills she never talked about. In fact, like sometimes I whinge about, you know, when I have a hard day at work, right? My parents never even whinged about that. They never even said, well, this is how it is. They never told us about superannuation. I learnt my hard way that how important superannuation is. So I've started teaching my daughters already. And my older daughter sort of takes interest, and my younger daughter's like, Mum, I'm 13. I don't need to know about super yet. I'm like, I don't want you guys to think it's not important. It's important.
Not at the moment, no. Yeah. Awesome. Alrighty. Okay, so this is a completely out there question. If the universe grants you 3 wishes, what would they be?
That's a very hard.
It's a very hard question.
It's a hard question because I've had a tough life. Although I had a good life whilst I was at my parents' house. Yeah. But during my time whilst marrying, I had a lot of struggles. I'm not going to lie, I did. And people would be lying if they said that, you know, you know, money is not a factor, but it is. You know, apparently the stats in Australia is the main 3 reasons people get divorced is finance, violence, and affairs. Right. So I think the number one thing I would say is, you know, to have to wish for a lot of wealth. Yeah. Okay, because that is very, very important.
It is. It is.
And number 2 is I wish I could change some of my decisions when I was younger.
Okay. Yeah.
And number 3, I'm not quite sure. Number 3 is a really superficial one.
Oh, that's okay. Go on.
I wish I was like an Instagram model, all tall and pretty and everything.
Oh, I knew it. I knew you'd say you on that height. You're pretty and you're already a model, Nureen. All right, but it really, those questions are to make you realize what you really, really crave. That's why I asked that question. Yeah. So there was a reason why I did that. So what would you like to say to your younger self? So what would you say to a 10-year-old Nureen? Let's put it that way.
That's a very good question. I thought about this the other day, actually. You know, to have goals, because I really didn't have goals when I was younger, growing up. I only started having goals recently, which is a really silly thing. And also, you know, not to make really rash decisions really quickly. You know, you might think, okay, I'm just going to get married. You know, that will give me freedom. But you don't think over the course of your life, okay, how's that going to impact me mentally, physically, everything? Because as you know, even having children, it changes you. So there's a lot of things that, you know, you come across. So not getting committed or into relationships so young, and having goals, that's, you know, 1 and 2. And I think lastly is learning to be more independent and relying on myself. I think initially I wasn't so independent because I was like, okay, you know, I always used to think marriage means that you know, you rely on him a lot, and being naive and young, and I was a bit, you know, because my parents didn't bring us up with, you know, talking about family stuff and family issues, so I didn't really know much. I didn't know anything at all, to be honest. So those are the main key things I would tell my younger self. I think, but out of all of them, the most important thing that I learned out of everything, even the lockdown, is having goals, both you know, life goals and health goals. Those are the key. You know, when people say health is wealth and early to bed, early to rise, it is more productive. You get more done, but I think those tiny goals, when, you know, when you're growing up, I remember in grade 4 or 5, our teachers were saying, start with little goals. You know, once you've accomplished that goal, you're happy that you've done that, and then build your way up. Somewhere along the line, there were so many things going on at home, and I felt like I was the parent. I lost myself, and in the marriage I lost myself, and I didn't really focus on me. You know? So focusing on yourself is important, regardless of whether you're in a relationship. That's very important as well.
You have to look after yourself before you look after anyone else. It's like having an oxygen mask in the plane. You have to put it on yourself first, otherwise you can't help anyone else. And it sounds quite selfish, but it's true. So what would you like to say to all the ladies and all our viewers out there? What's your message to them?
I would like to say to all ladies, don't give up on in whichever stage of your life you're at. And if you think that you're not good enough, or you're not, or should I do this, or you have doubts, you know, start with those goals that I've mentioned, but also don't ever doubt yourself, because I used to do that. You don't know until you try. So you've got to really put you know that phrase where you have to put your feet in the waters to try it first to know whether you're capable of doing it. We always think, I probably can't do this. You know, it's too hard, or this and that. But then we get surprised at our abilities. And test ourselves, and we're like, oh, hold on, I can do that. Then we move ourselves up a little bit more, and we're like, wow, I've done so many things. I can't
believe I've done this.
That I thought I could never do, that I've never done even in the last decade or so.
That's right.
So it's really pushing your limits.
Absolutely.
Also testing your abilities. And I think I advise all women, regardless of what situation they are in life, or what stage or phase in life they're at, you know, don't ever doubt your abilities. At least try, because you'll never know.
You never know.
Until you